Whew. All right. Hopefully, I didn't keep you guys waiting. So, this is another episode of Tech Entrepreneur Office Hours. And I'm here to talk to you from my new camera setup, which is why we took a bit long. Essentially, I had to set up the camera, and you know how all this live stream stuff goes. So, as usual, I'm Ken, the CEO and founder of Vermilion Sky, and I'm here to teach you guys today how to build a quality MVP. Now, if you don't know what an MVP is a minimum viable product. And what a minimum viable product is usually the first version of your mobile or web application. It's pretty much you getting your idea into something that you could test with your potential customers. Now, there are a lot of different, I guess, there are a lot of different ways to think about an MVP. And a lot of people will say, you need to release an MVP and it has to be ugly and not polished. And whenever you think that you've released your MVP, you've waited too late. I don't think so. At least from my opinion and my experience, you have to first clarify what you want your MVP to do and then build something that is viable. And a lot of people will say that viable is it works, but from my perspective, viable means that it makes you money or it accomplishes your business goals, which eventually just make you money. So when you first start planning out your MVP, well, matter of fact, when you first get the idea of your new digital product, what you want to do is you want to write down all of the features that you want to build, everything. You could also use a tool like Product Board or Trello to organize your features, but literally just list it all out on a piece of paper or a spreadsheet or whatever you want to use. List it all out there, but the goal is to be able to see everything. Once you have all of your features in whatever tool that you're using, you're going to want to then start grouping features together. When you start grouping them together, you can kind of see how things work. So for instance, login, right? That's authentication. That's logging in with Facebook. That's logging in with the email and password. That's logging out. All of that gets grouped into the authentication bucket. If you have a chat app, requesting a new chat, chatting with multiple people, doing a one-on-one chat, all of these things, you want to group them into buckets and have them somewhere. After you have all of those initial, just, I guess, top level ideas, what you want to do is you want to take all of those ideas and put them someplace else. Because now you're going to use that as your hypothesis. Essentially, when you're building a product, your product always solves a problem. And what I've found is that in our minds, we will imagine the best, most amazing application in life. But when that best, most amazing application in life hits the marketplace, what happens is people don't like it. And people don't like it mainly because you've only addressed your problems, but not your users' problems. Well, let me just check the chat real quick. All right, great. So because you're only addressing your problems and not the user's problems, you at least have your problems or what you believe is the solution to the problem that you're solving in an organized area so that you could reference later. After you've organized your ideas, what you want to do is you want to find people who are interested in the problem that you're willing to solve. You'll spend some time interviewing them and gathering any information that you need from them. So if you are, let's say, you're targeting students, college students who are interested in ping pong. Let's say you want to build a game about ping pong. What you would do is you would interview 10 of them and ask them specifically, like, hey, what are your issues around ping pong? And again, you'd spend more time workshopping the questions that they are, whatever they might be, but you would spend some time doing a lot of customer research. And then as you're doing the customer research, you'll find that your customers are going to say things that match your initial list. So that initial list that you were working on in step one, they're going to say things that'll be on your feature list. But what you'll also notice is that they'll say things that are not on your feature list. What you want to do is you want to start ranking the features that you have. Now, there are things that are just absolute that you just need. Like, you need to be able to log in. You need to be able to connect with others. There are some must-haves that you don't necessarily need to rank them because they are must-haves and you cannot operate without them. However, the people that you interview will start ranking. They'll say, yeah, we love ping pong, but keeping score, that's a little tough. So then if you continue to hear that keeping score is an issue that they are dealing with, then that is an issue that you could actually rank as higher than other issues, such as, my ping pong pad isn't the best. You'll also find issues that you can't solve at all. You might either address it in a different product, or you might just drop it as just something that you can't do for your specific product. But what you're looking for is something that is resonating across many people. So, yeah. After you do that, what you'll have a feature list, and in that feature list, you'll have a bunch of ranked features, right? You'll spend some time refining it and ensuring that the features are good for either a designer or a developer, because that's the next phase. After the refinement phase, you either hand it off to a designer, the designer will start making wireframes and cool stuff like that, or you hand it off to a developer and you'll task the developer of actually building the product, which without wireframes and design could be difficult. But if you have a good development team like ours, we could do cool, fun stuff like that. So, you refine your idea. You ensure that, okay, it's validated, my customers really have these issues, and you only choose to build, in the minimum viable product, you only choose to build about 2 or 3 features that are not must-have features. So must-have could be like authentication. It could be seeing things on a feed. It could be just things that your app just can't work without it, and you can't bypass it. If you can bypass it, I would definitely say do so, because if you can, you'll save on time and money. Time being getting the things that you're trying to test, getting to the biggest core problem, solving that for your customers quicker, and money not building extraneous features that you may not need. So choose 2 or 3. 3 if you have a big budget, 2 if you have a medium budget, and 1 if you just really only want to focus on ensuring that you can solve the problem. And while you're building that, ensure that it doesn't look ugly, because ugliness can keep your users from using your application. And it could also signal to your users that your app isn't good, even though it could be the best application in the world. However, what I've found is that everybody is spoiled when it comes to design. Spoiled meaning that every app has awesome transitions. It's been designed by somebody from Sweden. Like, it just has everything. It has everything that design-wise that you would want in an app. Even the most simplest apps, they have that. So because of that, I wouldn't say invest time for your MVP. I would not say invest time in what we call delighters. A delighter is something that doesn't necessarily add to the functionality of the application, but it really just adds to shooting out dopamine in your user's brain. So animations, sounds, music, just little things here or there. maybe you could do a delighter, but I would say stay away from it. So yeah, let's say you're going to go with one major feature. As you go through that one major feature, you spend the time developing it, and when you spend time workshopping it with your potential user. So those same people that you interviewed in the past, bring them into your development and design process and prototype, either design prototypes or code prototypes. When you do so, oh, interesting. Okay. When you do so, when you bring your customers in on the design process and when you bring them on the development process, what happens is you start getting more and more insights from them. So even if you just design a screen, you shoot it out to them, say, hey, what do you think about this? Actually, I would actually treat your potential customers as more of a client rather than just a customer. Because when you bring them in on like a client, like you're building it for them, what you'll find is that their customer experience will multiply and translate to a lot of other segments that you don't even know to target yet, because you're not in your customer's mind like that. So for instance, your customers might say, I have this issue, and you'll hear consistently, we like the color blue because blue in our mind translates into X, Y, Z, Z, Y, X, right? And then you'll say, you know what? Your designer will say, okay, that sounds good. And then they'll design the thing in blue. Little did you know that these people that you were interviewing or talking to, they don't know the exact connection of why blue works in your application, but other people who you don't know might say, oh my gosh, they're so thoughtful. They use blue, and blue means X, Y, Z, Z, Y, X. They spend so much time building this application. That in itself can be a delighter, but it could also be insight into having your customer's problem solved way better than you could have done without going through this process. So back to prototyping. You're showing them designs, you're kind of spitballing off of them because they are, again, you're bringing them in as like a client. Then you build the feature, you hand it off to them, and then you collect analytics data and you do surveys from them so that you could gain knowledge. Now that your potential customer, or some of your customers have something in their hand or something that they could use on their computer, your job is to collect information so that you could iterate to the next level. So you have a priority list of features. Now you've built out the first major feature. Number one thing is, hey, is it solving my customer's problem? If it is, then most likely they're going to come back to you with other problems. As they use your application, they're going to give you feedback on whether or not the app does exactly what they want it to do, or they might even give you suggestions on how the application can be used in different ways. Now, guess what? All of these features, they need to be put somewhere. You put it back on your feature list. You rank your feature list, and then you say, okay, what's the next most important thing that we want to build? Build one or two, again, features, and pretty much you iterate and you cycle through that until you get to the point where you have something that is pretty awesome, bringing in revenue and making a lot of people happy, including you. That's how you build an MVP. I'd say take 6 to 8 weeks to build an MVP. That's enough time to do the research, build something interesting, and then move forward. As usual, we do this show every Friday at 1 p.m. Again, I'm Ken Vermillion, the founder and CEO of Vermilion Sky. And if you want to be on the show next week, please send us an email, get in contact with us, send us a comment. Sorry if I can't manage the comments right now. We have a new setup, which is super cool, which is why I'm so clear right now. And I hope to hear from you soon. And I'll see you next week.